Ever get that feeling? Like you're swimming in business news, all the buzzwords, endless articles, but finding those really valuable insights, the ones that actually help you.
Yeah, it feels like they're just out of reach sometimes. You wish there was maybe a quicker way to get the important stuff, the core ideas behind successful businesses.
Exactly. And that's why we're doing this. Welcome to the deep dive.
Mm-hmm.
We want this to be your shortcut to being genuinely well-informed, not just overloaded.
Right. Our goal isn't to drown you in facts. It's about taking these uh, big collections of ideas and pulling out the really crucial bits, the stuff that might spark one of those aha moments for you.
Uh-huh. The kind that can actually change how you think about business.
Exactly.
And for this deep dive, we're digging into a really great resource, Jeremy Kourdi's book, 100 Great Business Ideas.
Yeah, it's a good one. It basically gathers successful business thinking from, well, all over the place. The whole point is to give you useful, thought-provoking ideas.
So think of this as like a guided tour. We're pulling out several key, actionable ideas from Kourdi's book that we think offer real practical insights for you.
Yeah, we'll be hitting things like customer engagement, thinking strategically, looking ahead, and also improving things inside an organization. Hopefully you'll get some real takeaways.
Okay, let's jump in. First big theme, building really strong customer relationships. This is like foundational, right?
Absolutely fundamental. Kourdi starts with this idea he calls building customer trust and loyalty. And the example he uses is pretty powerful, Harley-Davidson.
Ah, Harley. Interesting choice. They had that big turnaround, didn't they?
They really did. It's quite a story for you to think about.
Mm.
Back in the 80s, they were getting hammered by Japanese competitors. Sales were dropping dramatically.
Right.
But they didn't just, fight on price. They went way deeper. They focused intensely on building this incredible customer loyalty. Ended up with something like a 90% loyalty rate.
Yeah. 90%. Wow. Just think about that. So how did they get customers to stick like that? It wasn't just about making better bikes, though they did that too, right? Right. Using those dimming quality methods.
Yeah, quality improvement was part of it, definitely. But the real key insight for you here isn't just the product. It was about creating a whole experience, tapping into emotions.
Emotions.
Yeah, they really got to know their riders, met them at rallies, showed off new bikes in a way that fit the lifestyle, constantly pushed that brand image in their ads. It built, real trust.
And wasn't there that owners group, HOG, the Harley owners group? That seems like it was a huge part of it. More than just a fan club.
Oh, absolutely. HOG was genius. For you, understanding HOG is like seeing how to build a tribe around your brand. It wasn't just buying a bike, it was belonging. They had this amazing renewal rate, like 2/3 of members re-upped. Rich Tierlink, who used to be the chair there, called HOG a vital program. And he stressed listening, capturing ideas from everyone at Harley.
Okay, so boiling it down for the listener, what are the practical takeaways? The cheat codes from Harley on building that trust and loyalty.
Well, the big one for you is focus on that emotional connection and build a strong brand identity that really clicks with who your customers are or who they want to be.
Right. Create that sense of community.
Exactly. And then you have to deliver reliably every single time. Define your value clearly, maybe give new customers a little nudge to come back. Definitely reward the loyal ones you already have.
Makes sense. Keep competitive too, obviously.
Oh yeah, gotta be competitive. Make the whole experience easy, even fun. Reassure people with solid offerings. Always be improving based on feedback. And make sure your partners and your resources actually back up that promise of reliability.
Okay, that's a really solid framework.
Sure.
Now, Kourdi also talks about something called customer bonding. Seems related, like the next step after trust.
It definitely builds on it. If you think about today's markets, they're so competitive, right? So holding on to the customers you have, maybe through rewards, is super important.
Like loyalty schemes.
Exactly. Things like air miles, maybe W.H. Smith's book program, credit cards, even phone companies like MCI used to do it.
MCI.
Yeah.
I remember them. What was their big loyalty play?
They had that friends and family discount. And get this, with a pretty small ad spend, like 5% of what AT&T was spending, they grew their market share by 4%.
Wow. 4% just from that.
Yeah, so for you, it just shows how powerful rewarding loyalty directly can be, encouraging customers to stick with you.
So look after the customers you've got. Don't just chase new ones. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, let's pivot. Thinking about the future now, Kourdi brings up scenario planning. Sounds useful for dealing with, well, uncertainty. How does this help you?
What's really useful for you to grasp about scenario planning is it's not about predicting the future perfectly. That's usually impossible.
Right. Crystal balls don't really work.
Exactly. It's more like rehearsing different possible futures. It helps you understand the forces that might shape things and challenge your own assumptions about what's coming.
The example he uses is Royal Dutch Shell, way back in the 60s, with a guy named Pierre Wack.
Yeah, whack. He really pushed the Shell executives, got them thinking beyond just, the technical side of oil supply. He made them look at the politics, the governments in oil-producing countries.
So not just if there's oil, but who controls it and what they might do.
Precisely. The key thing for you is they questioned the standard thinking, which was that these countries would just keep pumping more oil forever. Wack and his team explored scenarios where maybe, just maybe, these governments would cut back supply to raise prices or save resources.
That was pretty forward thinking for the 60s. And it paid off, right?
Big time. When the oil crisis hit in the 70s, Shell was way better prepared than most rivals. They'd already thought through some of these messy possibilities.
So they could react faster.
Yeah, more effectively. So the practical lesson for you isn't about complex forecasting models. It's about using these what-if scenarios to shape your decisions now and figure out your priorities.
Makes you wonder what scenarios companies should be running today, doesn't it? Okay, being prepared also means being adaptable. Kourdi talks about market testing. Sounds like getting feedback from the real world. How's this useful for you?
Oh, it's crucial. Market testing is basically learning by doing and being ready to change course based on what you find out. Pret a Manger is a great example for you here. They didn't start out selling sandwiches.
Really? What did they start as?
Their first shot was actually an off-license, a liquor store called Hair of the Dog.
Hair of the dog? Seriously?
It's there.
What made them switch to sandwiches?
Well, they looked at the numbers. Revenue was okay, but the profit margins weren't great. Sinclair Beecham, one of the founders, said they saw much better potential in low-priced, high-margin stuff, like fresh sandwiches. They saw what customers were actually buying and, well, pivoted.
Just based on observing sales. So the key insight for you there is,
It's the power of that direct market feedback. Beecham talked about learning as you go. Even later, launching their Hoxton Hotel, he called it an experiment. It shows they were always ready to listen and tweak things. It's about mixing the theory with, real hands-on experience to find what actually works and makes money.
that flexibility seems key. You can plan all you want, but you got to react to what the market tells you. Okay, let's shift again. Leveraging information. Kourdi talks about using customer information. Amazon feels like the obvious huge example here for you.
Oh, absolutely. The classic case. Amazon totally changed book selling and keeps changing other sectors because they really got how to use technology and customer information. They use it in like 4 main ways that are really insightful for you.
Okay, break those down for us. How do they actually use that data?
Right. First, they minimize risks. They analyze your buying habits, what you browse, to spot wider trends. Second, they cut costs, really on inventory, supplier management, all driven by data.
Makes sense.
Third, they add value for you, the customer. Personalized recommendations, those helpful reviews.
Yeah, that homepage can be scarily accurate sometimes.
And fourth, they just keep innovating, using all that data to improve their service and what they offer.
And you see others doing it too, like Apple with iTunes and the App Store for digital stuff. So the core principle for you to take away is,
The main thing for you is realizing it's not just having the information, it's how you strategically use it, analyze it, apply it to get ahead of competitors, and actually make things better for your customers.
right, which kind of leads into a broader idea. Information orientation.
Yeah.
Sounds more like a whole company approach to data. How does this framework help you?
It is broader. The information orientation maturity model is basically a way for you to think about how sophisticated a company is with its information, moving from just collecting it to organizing it, maintaining it, sharing it, being transparent, controlling it, making it formal, ensuring integrity, and finally using it proactively. It really hinges on 3 things. People, processes, and technology, they all have to work together.
So it's not just buying fancy software. The people and the systems matter just as much.
Totally. People need the skills, right? And you need good processes for data quality and access. Kourdi mentions BBVA, the bank, transforming branches by getting the right info to staff for cross-selling.
Interesting.
And Scandiabanken built a profitable online bank based on simple IT, easy info access, and a culture that valued transparency.
So practical steps for you to improve information orientation in your own setting.
Well, first, recognize it's about your people. Train them, empower them. Second, look hard at your processes for managing info. Are they efficient? Accurate. Keep refining them. And third, crucially, link your business strategy to your IT strategy. Make sure tech is actually helping you achieve your goals.
Okay. Now, to make all this data easier to digest, Kourdi talks about information dashboards and monitoring performance. We see these everywhere now. How are they specifically helpful for you?
They're pretty much essential now for getting that quick, real-time snapshot of what's going on. Kourdi uses HSBC as an example. They use dashboards to really focus everyone on customers and sales, giving staff the key sales info visually.
What kind of stuff would be on an HSBC dashboard typically for the team?
Things like where leads are coming from, how many there are, the quality of those leads, are they likely to convert, and how effective individual salespeople are at, turning leads into appointments and then sales.
Provides a really clear picture then.
Yeah.
What are the other advantages for you in using dashboards like that?
Well, beyond just pushing sales, good dashboards help managers see where to focus their coaching. They help create more of a sales-driven culture because performance is visible. Plus, they show you what's in the pipeline.
Right.
HSBC in Taiwan even put this stuff up on big plasma screens in the office. Shared info, bit of friendly competition, maybe?
That's one way to do it. So if you're thinking about dashboards for yourself, what key questions should you be asking?
You've got to ask, what info is absolutely essential? How should it look so it's easy to understand? When do you need it? Real time, daily, weekly? Where does the data come from? Are there any restrictions? Confidentiality, maybe. And the big one, which decisions or actions are these dashboards actually supposed to help with?
Right, it's not just about having the data.
Exactly. You have to act on it, monitor it, make decisions based on it, and then manage the follow-through, considering things like time and resources.
Okay, super helpful on the information front. Let's switch focus to the people side of things now. Kourdi talks about making your employees proud. Why is that so important for you to think about?
Because, well, when your people feel genuinely proud of their work and the company, it has this amazing ripple effect. You get a more unified, efficient team. Your employer brand gets stronger, so it's easier to attract good people. And ultimately, you see boosts in productivity, quality, and job satisfaction.
And the example he gives is Taylor Nelson Software, TNS, the market research firm. What makes their employees proud?
Kourdi suggests it comes from understanding the company's purpose and seeing the impact of their work. They're gathering and analyzing info that helps clients make big decisions, doing important social polling. There's a sense of contributing something valuable.
So connecting everyday tasks to a bigger picture, a mission. How can you practically foster that kind of pride in your own team or company?
Well, consciously try to avoid, shady business practices that could damage morale or reputation. That's one thing. And then actively remind people of the positive impact your company has, how their work, even the small stuff, contributes to something meaningful for society or your customers.
Yeah, feeling like your work matters is huge. Now, here's a really interesting one. The rule of 150. What's the thinking behind this, and how might it be relevant for you?
Right, the rule of 150. It's based on this idea that humans can only really maintain about 150 stable social relationships. Cognitive limit, sort of. And W.L. Gore and Associates, the Gore-Tex people, they've actually built their company structure around this. They keep their facilities under 150 people.
Huh. Why that number specifically? What's the advantage of keeping work units that small?
The theory is, in smaller groups like that, you get closer relationships, better communication, more individual initiative, more flexibility. Gore often puts several small plants near each other, so they get the small group benefits even as the company grows.
And has it worked? For Gore, what results have they seen?
Oh, yeah. They have much lower employee turnover than average, and they've been consistently profitable and growing for ages. So for you, it suggests that maybe team size and structure really do matter for engagement and performance.
Trying to keep that small company feel, even if you're big. So what are some practical steps you might take, inspired by this rule of 150?
You could think about breaking down larger teams into smaller units or departments. Make sure there's good management within those units. Really work on building community and teamwork inside each group. But also, and this is important, find ways to connect those groups together so you don't end up with silos. Keep that overall team feeling.
Interesting structural idea. Okay, finally, in this people section, Kourdi talks about the employee-customer profit chain. This sounds like it pulls a lot of threads together. How does this framework connect things for you?
It really does tie things up nicely. Sears, the retailer, had this big realization back in the early 90s. They figured out that to improve the business overall, they had to start with employee attitudes. They saw this direct link, how employees felt affected customer service, which directly impacted profits.
So it's like a chain reaction. Happier employees mean happier customers mean healthier profits.
That's exactly it. Sears even found out their employees had wildly inaccurate ideas about how much profit the company made. So they developed this model, the ECPM, Employee Customer Profit Model, to map it all out. They focused on being a compelling place to work, shop, and invest.
And how did they put that model into action?
They built it right into how they managed people. Recruiting, promotions, appraisals for managers. They used 12 criteria focused on things like attitude towards the job, customer focus, teamwork. So for you, it really highlights how important it is to understand what makes your workforce tick and align your HR stuff to support that positive chain reaction.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive into Kourdi's 100 great business ideas has given us a lot to chew on. We've touched on so much.
Yeah, from building those deep customer connections, thinking ahead with scenarios and market tests, really using information smartly.
Right, with customer data, information orientation, dashboards.
To the absolutely vital role of your people fostering pride, thinking about team size with that rule of 150, and understanding that whole employee customer profit chain.
It really shows how these ideas aren't separate things, are they? They all kind of mesh together.
They really do. It's not about one silver bullet. It's about integrating smart approaches across the board.
Absolutely. It suggests business success is more about implementing these thoughtful strategies together.
Which brings up a really good question for you, the listener. Thinking about all these cheat codes we've talked about, which one maybe resonates most with the challenge you're facing right now? Is it the customer connection, the future planning, using data better, or boosting employee engagement?
Mm-hmm.
And maybe what's one small practical experiment you could actually try this week just to start exploring how that idea might help you?
That's a great challenge. Definitely something to think about and maybe act on. And hey, if you found these insights useful and want more, remember this was just a taste of Jeremy Kourdi's 100 great business ideas. Loads more in the book.
Definitely worth exploring further. Until our next deep dive, keep asking those good questions and exploring the business world. Always more to learn.
We'll be here to help you find those key insights.